Welcome to today's video. We'll be talking about the warm temperatures coming up ahead for the plains and central. So let's get started. All right, everyone. We got Sunday, January 4th, 2026 at 8 a.m. We got temperatures in Texas in the 50s, Oklahoma in the 30s and 40s, Kansas in the 40s, Missouri in the 30s, Arkansas in the 30s, Louisiana in the 40s. We can see you got places like New Mexico, it's in the 40s. Then you got places like Tennessee that's in the 20s at this time. Then you got places like North Dakota that's in the teens, South Dakota in the 20s, in 30s, and all over the place. We can see on there too, all over the place temperatures. All right, everyone, we got Sunday, January 4th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Got Kansas at 70 degrees, 74 degrees in Kansas. And 60s too. We got some 60s and some 50s in Kansas. We can see. Then Oklahoma, we got some 60s and 50s. Then Texas, we got some 70s and close to 80 in some spots. Louisiana in the 60s. Then we got places like Alabama that's in the 60s and 50s. We can see for this day. Then also Colorado's in the 60s and 70s too. All right, everyone, we got Monday, January 5th at 4 p.m. In some parts of Texas, we can see 85 degrees. In 80s in some spots. In Oklahoma, we could even have 80s too. In some parts of Texas too. In Kansas, we could have 60s. In Missouri, we could have some 60s too. In Nebraska, we could have some 50s and 60s outside. In some parts of Louisiana, we could have 70s. Mississippi, we could have 60s. In Alabama, we could have some 60s outside too. In Georgia, we could have some 60s too. We can see. All right, everyone, we got Monday, January 5th, 2026 at 7 p.m. We got Texas in the 70s, Oklahoma in the 60s, we got Louisiana in the 60s, we got Missouri in the 40s and 50s for this time, and Arkansas in the 50s and 60s. We can see the Mississippi in the 50s, Alabama in the 50s, we can see. Then we got parts of Georgia that's in the 60s too. Parts of Kansas that's in the 50s, Nebraska in the 50s too, and South Dakota in the 40s and 50s and 30s too. Alrighty, everyone, we got Tuesday, January 6th, 2026 at 7 a.m. Everybody, we got Texas in the mid 60s and Oklahoma. Some parts of Oklahoma's in the 60s and most of Oklahoma's in the 50s and 40s. That's like Texas too. We got some 50s and 60s in Texas. In Arkansas, we got some 50s. In Missouri, we got some 40s and 50s. Then up in Illinois, we got some 40s. Tennessee, we got some 50s and 40s. In Alabama, we got some 40s and 50s. Then Nebraska, it's some 40s and 50s. And Kansas, we got some 40s and 50s. All right, everyone, we got Tuesday, January 6th at 11 a.m. We can see we got parts of Texas that's in the 70s. Then we got parts of Louisiana that's in the 60s and 70s. But we got some parts of Arkansas that's in the 60s. Kansas in the 50s too, Oklahoma in the 50s and 60s. Then we got parts of Nebraska, it's in the 40s too. We can see we got parts of North Dakota, it's in the 20s up there. Then we got parts of South Dakota in the 30s also. We can see in Georgia in the 60s too. All right, everyone, we got Tuesday, January 6th at 4 p.m. We got some warm temperatures here, but this could change, but it could happen because this is Tuesday. Some things might be changed in models too. So let's see. Some parts of Texas, we have 85 degrees and 85 degrees in the winter in January. In some parts of Texas, we got parts of Oklahoma in the 70s. In Kansas, even near 70 in some spots. In Missouri, even near 70. Arkansas, we could have 80s too. All right, everyone. We got Wednesday, January 7th at 4 a.m. We can see. We got parts of Texas in the 60s, even near 70s in some spots. Louisiana, we got some 60s. Tennessee, we could even have some 60s. And Kentucky, we could have some 60s in some spots. Also, in Alabama, Mississippi, we got some 50s and 60s in some spots. Kansas, we got some 40s. Missouri, we got some 40s. Arkansas, we got 40s and 50s. And Oklahoma, we got 50s too. Outside in Indiana, we can have maybe even some 50s too and 40s. We got Wednesday, January 7th at 11 a.m. We can see parts of Texas is in the 70s, Louisiana in the 70s, Arkansas in the 50s and 60s, Oklahoma in the 60s. We got Mississippi in the 60s and 70s. We got parts of Alabama in the 60s and Georgia in the 60s too. We got parts of Oklahoma 60s and 50s, Kansas in the 50s, Missouri in the 50s, Nebraska in the 40s, in Iowa in the 40s, and Illinois in the 40s too. We can see that New Mexico, we got some 30s and 40s. Alright, everyone, we got Wednesday, January 7th at 4 p.m. We got the southern part of Texas almost at 90 degrees. We got 86, 85, mid 80s, almost 90, almost. Wow, in the winter. Then we got other parts of Texas in the 80s, Louisiana in the 80s, even parts of Arkansas in the 80s. Arkansas 70s and 80s, Kansas in the 60s and 50s, and Missouri in the 50s and 60s, and near 70 in some spots, and Alabama in the 70s and 60s. Alright, everyone, we got Thursday, January 8th at 1 a.m. We can see we got temperatures in Texas in the almost 70-degree range in some spots, and Oklahoma we have some 60s and near 70s. Louisiana in the 60s at night at 1 a.m. Arkansas 60s too, in 50s. Mississippi in the 50s and 60s, Georgia in the 50s and 60s, and Alabama in the 50s and 60s, Kansas in the 40s, Nebraska in the 40s, Iowa in the 40s, Missouri in the 40s and 50s too, in South Dakota in the 30s too. We can see outside on there. Alright, everyone, we got Thursday, January 8th at 10 a.m. in some spots. We can see in Texas we got some 70s, Louisiana we got some 70s, Arkansas we got some 60s, Mississippi we even got some 60s. Alabama, we got some 60s, Georgia in the 60s, Texas in the 60s and 70s, Oklahoma in the 60s and 70s. Then we got some places like Missouri that's in the 50s, Kansas in the 50s, Nebraska in the 40s, Iowa in the 40s at this time too, and Illinois in the 40s at this time too. Alright, everyone, we got Thursday, January 8th at 4 p.m. In some parts of Texas, we have 80s, 70s, and 60s. Louisiana, we got 80s. Arkansas, we got some 60s and 70s. Tennessee, we got some 70s. Kentucky, we even got some 60s. Then we got parts of Mississippi that's in the 70s. Alabama in the 70s. Kansas in the 60s too. In some parts, even 50s and 40s. Missouri in the 60s too. Then some parts are even in the 50s too. Iowa in the 40s. Nebraska in the 30s too. Thank you for watching this video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and notification so you never miss a video like this, guys. Okay, guys. See you guys in the next weather video.